Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Friday, April 10th, 2020. A couple of months ago, I brought you a story pertaining to a woman um, who gunned down a gentleman in a cigar lounge and wounded two other men that were accompanying this gentleman. And the said story is brought to you by mysuburbanlife.com. Cigar lounge shooter was infatuated with victim, witnesses tell police, and it was dated March 10th. The night before she opened fire in a loud cigar lounge, killing one man, wounding two others, and then shooting herself, Lisa Mcmullan asked a patron, DuPage County Sheriff's Deputy Chief Eddie Moore, for the phone number of a defense attorney who frequent the humidor. After she left, retired State Trooper Greg Rieves leaned over and told Moore, "That woman is crazy. She's been after me for 7 months." That exchange was included in police reports recently made public concerning the January 24th shooting at the lounge in which Rieves was killed and two others, off-duty trooper Caton Bullock and retired Special Agent Lloyd Graham, were wounded. Lyle Police and the countywide Metropolitan Emergency Response and Investigation Team investigated the shooting. Reeves and the other two victims were in the lounge that night along with two women. The women left to use a restroom and didn't see the shooting. When police arrived, one woman was attending to a wounded man and the other guided police to the room where the shooting occurred. Moore told investigators he had gone to high school with Reeves and recently reconnected with him. He said the shooter was infatuated with Reeves, according to one of the reports. A longtime friend of Reeves told police that Reeves said he had hooked up with the woman. Another patron said the woman was obsessed with Reeves and had become bitter. Another said the woman was in love with Reeves. One of the other women present the night of the shooting said their group had planned to meet at the Loud Lounge a month or so earlier. But when Reeves found out the woman would be there, he suggested they meet at another lounge in Westmont. Okay. The reports also indicated that police found writing on a wall in the shooter's Hyde Park condominium. It was made in blue marker and had been painted over, but many of the messages were still decipherable. The messages appeared to be separate notes. One referenced Reeves and another man saying, "I hate you. I hope you die." Another read pool surveillance video from Humidor Cigar Lounge, 1600 Ogden, Lisle, Illinois, on 10/28/19. Movie screen room look between 6:30 7:30. Shows Greg R. pulling out a handgun, Glock. Police asked to view video from that night, but it had been recorded over. Police also found a handwritten draft of notes about Reeves that the woman was going to send to Illinois State Police. A Chicago police officer told investigators he had dated the woman, and when they broke up, she filed false complaints against him and harassed him by phone. The woman's mother and two aunts told police she had taken up shooting as a hobby several years earlier. The woman had taken time off from work that week to have a medical procedure done. Her co-workers at Wintrust Mortgage said she could be difficult to supervise at times and did not take criticism well and was defensive but not threatening. Reeves and the other two victims were armed with handguns. Reeves and one of the victims arrived at the lounge around 3:30 and 4 p.m. The shooting happened around 10:13 p.m. That is the said information by mysuburbanlife.com. So I'm going to backtrack a bit. For those of you who are new to the channel, don't know the story, and those who remember the story. Okay, so Lisa shot Mr. Reeves, two other gentlemen, and then she shot herself. So Mr. Reeves died during this shooting, and Miss Mcmullan died by the self-inflicted gunshot wound. Two other men survived. As you see, this storyline gives you different accounts from different people saying, one saying she was in love with him, one saying she was infatuated, one longtime friend saying that Mr. Reeves admitted that he hooked up with her. Then it goes on to say that the women that they were with, two that went to the restroom, states that Mr. Rieves said to one of the women that he wouldn't meet there because she was there. So that comment was alleging, so I'm trying to backtrack it. It says right here, one of the other women present the night of the shooting said their group had planned to meet at the Loud Lounge a month or so earlier. That's very pivotal to this storyline because it gives a time frame of whatever was going on with these two people or wasn't going on. So a month or so earlier, he was invited to go out with these two women and his male friends, whatever. He declined because he said she was there. If I'm not mistaken. So we'll make sure I get that correct when I'm repeating everything. He said, but when Reeves found out the woman would be there. Okay, that's something interesting. How would he know that she would be there? Is it because she frequented the place every night? Private function going on? How did he know she would be there? Do you understand? Did he pull up and see her car and then decided, that's okay, I'll pass. Go find somewhere else to hang out. See, this is what's interesting to me finding out this information because I've tried to put, everything together. Naturally, I do not know these participants. I do not know these people, but I always try to weigh things out. I'm very analytical, so my mind goes in rotation, trying to figure out which is natural. Why did this woman kill this man? Okay? And wound two other people there. We find out that different people are giving different versions, that she hooked up with him, infatuated, yeah. Okay? That's what's been said in this article. They had women with them. Was she upset that Mr. Rieves had a lady friend accompany him that night? Why did he wait to decide to go that night when he relayed to one of the women that he would not meet her and her friend there because Miss Lisa was there? So one has to ask themselves, how did he know? As I state, Lisa would be there. Did you show up and see that she was there? What made you go that night? If you felt that she was a threat or you just didn't want to be bothered, you were sick of her, perturbed by her, which and so ever, why did you go that night? And that leads one to think, with this commentary from this woman, something did transpire between Mr. Rieves and Miss Mcmullan. And I do believe they messed around. I always thought that from day one. Did she shoot him because she was a scorned woman? She was upset because she wanted more from him, a relationship, something he did not provide it. One friend states that he said, Mr. Rieves, she'd been chasing him for 6 or 7 months. So one could say, perhaps, because we do not know, that he messed around with her for day one, 5 days, 2 months, I don't know. Things did not work out. He didn't like her, she didn't like him, or more or less, he didn't like her or want to be with her, and she could not move on. The fact that she had another gentleman's name scribbled on the wall with said information, that was baffling, which led me to think then, months ago, that she was a scorned lady and that she had issues with rejection. The fact that she shot the other two guys, that weighed on me. Why did she shoot them? What did they have going on for her to feel the need to shoot them? And see, now I think my mind is doing cartwheels because now you find out that women were sitting there alongside the men. So when she went up to the one guy, Mr. Moore, to ask about another police officer a lawyer's telephone number, did she do that to show off because she was trying to make this guy jealous, Mr. Rieves, because she had a thing for him? Excuse me. So she wanted to make him jealous. So it's kind of like, hey, how you doing? Hey, where's your friend such and such? Well, I'd like to get his number if you have it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe that was her attempt to make Mr. Rieves jealous by asking for that number. I don't know if she said it where Mr. Rieves could hear. Just throwing that out there. But everything has a time and a place. And there's a reason behind everything, whether we like what people do or don't do. And as I state, this was a baffling case. And I was just curious, of course. That's why I brought you the commentary. Why did Miss Mcmullan shoot Mr. Rieves and two other people? Fortunate for those two gentlemen, they did survive. Mr. Rieves did not. It was always up in the air if they had anything going on. Her family stated that they did have an involvement Others were saying they didn't know, blah, blah, blah. I've even had commenters saying they knew her, she was crazy, blah, blah, blah. But as I state to you all, and that commenter, I did not know her, I did not know him. So I can't speak for what the dead did and did not do. Okay? I can't speak for either party. Yes, one could say she was crazy because the act itself is deemed crazy. But was she mentally diagnosed with a disorder, a mental disease? Or was she just lucid, knew what she was doing, and was scorned? Did she not take rejection well? I do believe that she didn't take rejection due to the fact she had information about another gentleman on her wall. It is also stated that the things that were written on the wall about Mr. Rieves is pertaining to him pulling out a gun inside this cigar lounge and improprieties as a trooper. So what did she know about him? The fact that the police went to recover the video of that said night he pulled the Glock out, but it was recorded over. Now one might think, that's odd. Is it accidental? Or is someone trying to cover something up to save face and keep his good name? You never know. Just throwing that out there. There was a rumor about them attending the same high school, that they knew each other. Could have been infatuation from a long time ago. Well, her mother stated to the news that they never attended the same high school, that she attended a high school on the near north side. And that high school that was referenced that they attended is west Chicago. And I don't think a mother would lie about where her child went to school. And I left that where it was. You believe what you want to believe. But the fact that another patron said she was laughing in the back room, or he heard her laughing while he was there, and she seemed okay and fine. He didn't hear an altercation. He didn't hear words. He didn't see anyone arguing or fighting. So that leads one to wonder, how did she go from laughing and talking and then enter another room and shoot these men? You understand what I'm saying? Was she there first? Who was there first? And if this conversation is true that this woman gave, that he didn't want to meet her and her friends and his friends there a month or so earlier because he knew that she would be there, which, as I state, I don't know how he would know she would be there, because how would anyone know that? Just think about that. Why did you go that night? Why would you go hang in a place where you are having an issue with a woman, man, whomever you are, and you know there's odds that they may be there because that's their hangout spot as well? Why would you go? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I questioned that when I read this article. Why did Mr. Rieves go that night with those ladies, knowing there's a chance she would be there, because you opted out a time before because you knew she would be there? I think Miss Lisa had some issues in life. Obviously, she had issues with rejection, perhaps. The fact that one person said they dated her and she tried to get him in trouble with his job. The fact she had things scribbled on the wall about Mr. Rieves and the gun being brandished inside of the bar. That perhaps that when things did not go her way in relationships, she would use whatever tool she could to try to bring that said man down. But then the flip side of that could also be maybe the men weren't so nice to her. You can weigh it both ways, whichsoever. That they mistreated her. She took it bad. She took it personal. She couldn't let go. So she'd find a way to exact revenge against them. People do this all the time. Doesn't mean that it's right. I do not condone what Miss Lisa did that day, because I feel like there's other ways of working out your anger and your disappointment. And I also know that he had a right to frequent that bar, because to each his own, you go where you want to go. But I just question, after reading this article now, months later, what made him go that night with the ladies and the other gentlemen when he backed out beforehand a month or so earlier? Why wouldn't I not question it? What was the relationship between Lisa and Mr. Rieves? How long did they date? Or mess around? And where is that other guy whose name was written on the wall? Because as I stated in that video months ago, he must have been feeling some type of way once he found out that Lisa had murdered Mr. Rieves, shot two other gentlemen, and had his name on the wall alongside Mr. Rieves. And I'm sure he was grateful that Miss Lisa did not attempt to gun him down as well. This is a baffling story of not knowing what really went on inside this woman's head, what went on with her and with she and these men. And as I state, why did she also shoot the other two? I wondered if they had done something to her, said something out of the way that night. Were they mimicking her, mocking her, you know? Had they been bullying her? You never know. And I asked all these questions because I don't know these people. I don't know Lisa. I did not know her, and I didn't know Mr. Rieves. And naturally, he's going to have people to speak up on his behalf that he was a great guy. And I'm sure in the world, someone would say the same about Lisa. Whether she was mentally disturbed, scorned, bitter, obsessed, whichever word you want to call it. Because that's what happens in life. There will always be somebody who will rally behind someone and say good things about them, even when they know that they are troubled, even when they know they have made mistakes, they have mistreated people, but you will always have that one, and that's life. I looked for obituaries at the time. After she passed away, I never found anything, so I didn't never bring another update because I didn't have any other said information, and I moved on, to other stories. But this one popped up just out of the blue from a commenter who had commented on the story, and then they put a link. So thank you for that. And this is where I bring you this update. All I can say is, for anybody out there listening, there will be a time when people will not want to be with you. They will not love you. They will not like you. They will not want to talk to you, deal with you. The best thing to do is to move on. Don't think of revenge. Don't think of harming them. And don't think of harming yourself. Because I just think it's sad, no matter who these people were, they deserve to be living. And Lisa took that right from Mr. Rieves. And I don't condone murdering someone because they don't want to be with you. But I also know that a lot of people are not stable. A lot of people can be pushed to mayhem. And it doesn't take very much. And once a person gets fed up, because I do not know if this was her situation, they will go off. People do it every day. And others get caught in the crossfire. By accident, and sometimes intentional. There are better ways of working out your problems. And sadly, Miss Mcmullan should have reached out to someone and got help, some type of mental help, because she obviously was mad at some people. It also states she had surgery. I do not know what surgery she had. They did not list it in this article. Who's to say the queen was addicted to pills or something? I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe something was going on in her head. The fact that she was off from work, who knows? But she obviously had a troubled spirit. And it is sad that she took the route that she took because she didn't have to go down that road. She didn't have to go down that road. Interesting tale. Interesting tale indeed. But that's my said update on Lisa Mcmullan and Mr. Rieves. And if anything else transpires, anyone else has a version, I would surely bring it to you. But as I state, this was a story that was, as I say, was baffling to me. And I brought you the said commentary. A few men seemed a bit disgusted. But as I state, I talk about various conversations on here, various storylines. I give my opinion, I give my commentary. And one thing I will say about most stories I talk about, I don't know any of the people. I just give my opinion. But in the end, each story is the same. You do not know people. And it doesn't matter if you've known them 20 years, 30 years, went to school with them, grew up with them. You do not know people, and you surely don't know what goes on behind closed doors and the conversations that take place behind closed doors. So you can never fully say you know somebody, who they are, their character, because you will never know. The thoughts of people, the lies people spend to others, and the versions they give to others. And sometimes the versions they give to us is not the spoken word. And I'm just keeping it real. That's the said information. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. Thanks for joining me. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands, everybody. Wash your hands. Wear your mask when you are out in public. And this is Everyday Shenanigans. God bless you. Bye-bye.